It's time to play the exploding fruit game. Everybody stand up and get ready to choose your favorite fruit. For cantaloupe, stand on the left side of the room. For watermelon, stand in the middle. For honeydew, stand on the right. Choose wisely, because if your fruit explodes, you're out of the game! If you chose watermelon, you are out. This time, we have a pineapple, a coconut, and a watermelon. You know what to do. If you chose the pineapple, then you're out. And for the last round, we have a coconut, a cantaloupe, and a pineapple. Good luck! If you chose the coconut, I'm afraid you're out. Thanks for playing with us. Bye-bye.
Everybody, welcome back to another week of Collision Kids. We are so glad you decided to join us. We're going to jump right in and we're going to get started working on that memory verse. So everybody stand up to their feet, get the whole family in, and let's do this.
Psalm 119:18.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Open my eyes that I may see wondrous things, wondrous things. Open my eyes that I may see wondrous things from your love.
Open my eyes.
Open my eyes that I may see wondrous things, wondrous things. Open my eyes that I may see
Show me, Lord.
wondrous things from your love.
How can a young man cleanse his way?
Find God's word in your heart.
You mean memorize the word?
Memorize the word.
Right now?
Yes, now let's start.
God's word is perfect, powerful, true.
It guides me in my life.
When we live by the word and do what it
The
says,
whole world will see our light.
Open my eyes, open my eyes, open my eyes. Oh.
Psalm 119:18.
Open my eyes that I may see wondrous things, wondrous things. Open my eyes that I may see wondrous things from your love. Open my eyes that I may see wondrous things, wondrous things. Open my eyes that I may see wondrous things from your love.
Great job, guys.
that's it. Psalm 119:18.
Well, hello again, studio audience, and welcome back to the Good News Studio. I'd love to chat with you all, but we really need to hurry and get ready for another broadcast. So let's get into the news. Intro the news, get the news reported, and learn some more about Jesus. So we're quiet on set. Intro segment going live in 3, 2, 1.
Good morning. You're watching Good News with your anchors Tim Hunter and Trudy Grapevine. And Rick Rexworth on sports. Will Wheelwright, traffic. Dr. Oppenheimerstein on science. Cooking in the kitchen with Dinah. Your Action News reporter JJ Barnstormer. And Fernando the Weather Puppet on weather. It's the best morning news show on this channel at this time in the Tri-Cities area. Today's show is brought to you by Knowledge, reminding you that it's okay to have doubts, but we should always seek answers when we have doubts.
So far, so good. And while all the viewers at home are watching commercials, we can talk about that message from our sponsor. I will seek answers when I have doubts. It's a very important message to remember. So let's make that our main message. So everybody, I want you guys to shout this as loud as you can. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Great job, guys. So I'd like to talk about our main message for just a bit before we're on again. How many of you have been told something that you were not quite sure was true? Well, when you are not sure something is true, that means you have doubts about it. People may say it's true, but you're not quite so sure. It's an important point we need to realize that we all have doubts at some point. There may even be times when we doubt what we hear or read in the Bible. But here's the really important thing to remember about doubts. It's okay to have doubts, but it's not okay to stay doubtful. We need to do what our main message says. We need to seek answers. And you could seek answers in a lot of ways. Here's an example. Imagine that you are at church and you hear that God is more powerful than anything else. But then you start to wonder, is God really more powerful than anything else? Well, that's the beginning of doubt. And that's when you need to seek answers. And to seek answers, the first thing you should do is pray and ask God to help you with your doubt. Ask that He will reveal the answers to you that you need. But don't just stop at prayer. You also need to look for answers in your Bible. So, here is my Bible, and then I'm going to open it up to 2 Chronicles, verse 6. And it says, He prayed, O Lord, God of our ancestors. You alone are the God who is in heaven. You are ruler of all the kingdoms of the earth. You are powerful and mighty. No one can stand against you. So, it says you are the ruler of all kingdoms of earth. You are powerful and mighty, and no one can stand against you. That's the kind of verse you can use to help if you're having doubts about God's power. Another way you could seek answers is to talk to some wise people. Ask your parents if you have questions. Talk to your pastor or even your teachers at church. And if someone you talk to doesn't know the answer to your question, don't give up. Keep searching and talking to people until you find the answer. The point is if you feel doubtful, you shouldn't stay that way. So remember, I will seek answers when I have doubts. Oh dear. Well, it's time to get ready, people. We're coming back from commercial. Count them down with me, guys.
Good morning. I'm Tim Hunter, lead anchor.
And I'm Trudy Grapevine. Today is a special broadcast because today we're getting the news from you.
That's right. If you think you have a news story worth reporting, we're putting the number on your screen now. Feel free to call in.
Oh, that sounds like our first call.
Boy, that was quick.
Hello, you're on the air.
Hi, I'm a huge fan of your show.
Oh, thank you. Well, do you have any news to report?
Yes, there's a carnival happening down the street from me.
Really? Are there rides?
Yes, I rode all the rides. They were awesome.
Oh, well, are there games as well?
Yes, I played all the games and they were a blast.
Well, it sounds interesting.
But since we can't see it, there's no way to know if it's actually true.
And if we can't know if it's true, then we can't report it.
That's
Sorry.
right. Sorry.
You can come to the carnival and see it for yourself. Here, I'll give you the address. It's 24...
No, don't bother. I really doubt there's even a carnival.
Let's hear from another caller. Hello, you're on the air.
Hi, are you guys still looking for news to report?
Yes, we are. What do you have for us?
There's a big sale on canoes at the camping store. I just bought a canoe and brought it home.
Wait. You expect us to believe that, one, there's a sale. And 2, that there's a canoe at your house.
Yeah. The canoe
Wow.
is now in my garage.
Well, maybe, but since we can't see it, we don't have any proof, and we don't believe it.
What?
Yeah, and if we don't believe it, we can't report it. Sorry.
But I'm telling the truth. I can send you a picture of the canoe I just bought, and you can call the camping store and ask about the sale. Their number is 81.
Well, that was a complete waste of time.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Let's never do that again.
Agreed.
Wow, whose idea
Well,
was
why
that?
are they
A
doubting
producer?
Probably the
everything?
producer.
And why
He
aren't they
messed
trying
up.
to find out if the callers were telling the
Should just
truth?
listen to me more often.
Oh, we need to
Oh,
change
now.
gears quick.
Whenever
Tim,
we have
move on to
questions
the
relating
science
to the
segment,
world of
please.
science, there's only one person qualified enough to answer those questions. It's Dr. Oppenheimerstein. Let's see what he's up to. So, what do we have here, Doctor?
Oh, hello, Tim. This is a...
I see, but what does it do?
Well, I'm glad you asked. This device uses fire to show us sound waves. I play music through that speaker there, and the flames will get higher and lower, depending on the notes that are played.
I'm sorry, that sounds too far-fetched.
No, it works, really. You wait here, and I'll start the music and show you.
Well, I'm sorry, it doesn't seem to be working right now, and since I've never seen it work, I can't possibly trust it to work in the future. I don't believe you. Goodbye.
Now, this device was invented in 1904 by Heinrich Robin. Tim, why did you leave? Look, I told you it would work. Look, it's working.
It's a bad day for news, Trudy.
I know.
Sound waves and fire? Ridiculous.
I don't know what that was
Oh,
about.
they're
have no
still
idea.
doubting,
What
and
was
they
that?
just ruined the science segment. Why didn't Tim just stay and watch the demonstration? They're not trying to find the answers to their doubts.
Hold on. We're going to take
this
a
is
brief
bad. We have to
commercial
fix
break.
it. We need a
But when
break
we
for
get back,
commercial.
we are going to see the incredible balancing skills of Bonnie, the balancing baronet. How about that?
Or will we? I doubt it.
Oh, and we're out. But we're back on the air in just a few minutes. What are we going to do? The problem is that Tim and Trudy can't get past their doubts. They should be trying to find the answers and start asking some more questions. Now they're not even able to report any news. It's like they plan to stay doubtful forever. People aren't going to keep watching this show if Tim and Trudy just keep doubting. You know, I think I've got an idea. There's something that might help Tim and Trudy and all of our viewers. I have a special report ready to go from the Bible that tells us what happened to a man who had a serious doubting problem. Guys, go ahead and cue up that special segment from the Bible. All right, we are back on air in 5, 4, 3.
Hello again. We're actually not going to have time for the Bonnie the Balancing Baroness segment today. Sorry, Bonnie.
Instead, we'd like to show you a special report from the Bible. Enjoy.
Doubt. Doubt is something that everyone on the earth experiences. Doubt comes when we don't understand something or when we don't have enough information. But doubt really comes when we don't know for sure if something is true or not. When you have doubt, you may ask questions like, "That sounds interesting, but is it true?" Or, "I don't know if that really happened. Can you prove it?" Or even, "I don't know what to believe. Can you help me?" It's okay to have doubt, but only if it leads to questions that seek the truth. Hello, and welcome to my ongoing report focusing on the weeks after the death and resurrection of Jesus. Today's segment is about a very serious issue, a problem we all deal with at some point or another: doubt. When you doubt something, it means you're not sure if it's true or if you should believe it. Everyone experiences doubt at some point in life, even people back in the days when Jesus lived. In fact, Even Jesus' disciples dealt with doubt, which leads me to the story for today. The story can be found in the book of John, chapter 20, starting in verse 19. And it begins during a very difficult time in the life of the disciples. Their Lord and Master, Jesus, had been arrested and tried as a criminal. Then he was put on a cross to die. And finally, he was buried in a tomb. Now, 3 days later, some women had come from the tomb saying it was empty and that Jesus was alive. In fact, Mary Magdalene claimed that she had actually seen Jesus. Well, at this point, the disciples were very confused. I mean, they didn't know what to believe. They saw Jesus die with their own eyes, yet the women claimed he was alive. The disciples had to have their doubts about what the women were saying. Could they really believe it? I mean, was it really true? Well, in the evening, all of the disciples gathered together in a room. Once they were there, they locked all the doors because they were afraid that the soldiers might come and kill them like they had killed Jesus. Well, while they were in the room, something incredible happened. Jesus suddenly appeared in the room. The disciples were amazed as Jesus spoke to them and showed them his wounds in his hands and his side to prove to them that he was Jesus, and that they weren't imagining things. Jesus really was there, and Jesus really was alive. All of the disciples were very, very excited. Well, not all of the disciples. You see, one of the disciples, whose name was Thomas, wasn't there when Jesus appeared. Everyone saw Jesus but him. Later, when the disciples saw Thomas, they told him about seeing Jesus. But instead of getting excited or sad about missing the chance to see Jesus, Thomas did something else. He doubted. He didn't believe what his friends were telling him. Here's what was said.
"We have seen the Lord." "I won't believe it unless I see the nail wounds in his hands, put my fingers into them, and place my hand into the wound in his side."
Now, we don't know why Thomas chose not to believe what the disciples had told him. But 8 days later, Thomas got exactly what he was asking for. Once again, the disciples were gathered together inside a locked room. And this time, Thomas was with them. Just like before, Jesus suddenly appeared and greeted them. Then he spoke directly to Thomas.
"Peace be with you. Put your finger here and look at my hands.
Put your hand into the wound in my side. Don't be faithless any longer. Believe."
My Lord and my God!"
Thomas finally believed what the disciples had said. Jesus was alive. Jesus then said to Thomas,
"You believe because you have seen me. Blessed are those who believe without seeing me."
As we look at this story, it's important to note that it's okay to have doubts. Your parents or pastor or teachers will never be angry if you have questions about things you don't understand. Also, Jesus won't be angry if you have doubts. Look at Thomas. Jesus didn't get mad at him for having doubts. In fact, he appeared to Thomas to help him overcome those doubts. Jesus loved Thomas, and he loves you and me. He wants us to feel great about believing in him, and he wants to help us when we have doubts. You know, we don't get to see Jesus in the same way that Thomas and the other disciples did. And from time to time, we will have questions and we will have doubts. It's during these moments that we should pray to God about those doubts. We should also talk to our parents or pastor and spend time reading the Bible. These are all ways to seek out the answers we need to overcome our doubts. Well, that's all for this segment. Remember, it's okay to have doubts. However, when you do, you need to seek answers. And ultimately, like Thomas, choose to believe.
Well, I see that everyone has doubts, but when we have doubts,
we should seek out the answers instead of just staying doubtful.
That's right.
Wow, we apologize to our earlier callers that we hung up on. After today's show, we'll check on that carnival.
And we'll check on that sale at the camping store. And I'll also see if Dr. Oppenheimerstein is willing to show me that Rubens tube thing.
Oh, yeah.
And in the future, we'll try to do a better job of handling our doubts.
And now, let's check in with Fernando, the weather puppet. Fernando, what's the forecast for today?
It was supposed to be nice today, but now it's very, very cold. Achoo! Ah!
Thanks, Fernando.
And thank you for watching. Please stay tuned after the credits for some late-breaking news.
What's this? Respected reporter and news anchor Tim Hunter's on the scene with some late-breaking news. We need a news van, quick! It's time for Tim Hunter's news van race to report the news! Cheer for the news van that you think will get to me first. Green or yellow? Ready, set, go! They're both going down the center. They're trying to get the roundabout first, but both of them are at the roundabout. Oh no, they can barely keep on the street. They're driving through the city park. They're off the map, folks. This is crazy. It's pandemonium, and they're all the way back in the beginning. They come back around. It looks like there's a weather report in the area of some baseball-sized hail. Oh my goodness! It looks like green's gonna take it. What's this? Yellow can fly. It jumps to the lead. Is it gonna be green? Is it gonna be yellow? Is it gonna be green? It's yellow. Yellow wins. And now I can finally report the news. This just in. I'm wonderful. In fact, I'm so wonderful I'd do a dance if I could move my elbows and knees. Thanks for watching Tim Hunter's News Van Race of Newsiness. Goodbye.
You know, it was good to see what happened to Jesus and the disciples after the resurrection because we learned that it is okay to have doubts. But when we have doubts, we should seek answers. Remember, we seek answers by praying, reading our Bible, and asking wise people for help. And then ultimately, we should choose to believe. And Jesus said that those who choose to believe, even though they haven't seen him, are blessed. And that's where our Bible verse comes in. We find our Bible verse today in John chapter 20, verse 29. And it says, "Then Jesus told him, 'You believe because you have seen me. Blessed are those who believe without seeing me.'" Well, I know one thing for sure. I believe. And you know, I know that a lot of the kids in our studio audience believe too. Why don't we spend some time worshiping Jesus and thanking him for the things that we have? Everybody get on in here. We're going to worship together.
Everybody say hey, hands in the air with a wave. Lifted to the one who can save, to the Son who is done with the grave. Hosanna to his name.
Everything wrong that I'll ever do, everything wrong that I've ever done was taken all away, yeah, by the blood of God's Son. I said everything wrong that I'll ever do, everything wrong that I've ever done, it was taken all away, yeah, by the price he paid. So everybody say,
Hey, hands in the air with a wave. Lifted to the one who can save, to the Son who was done with the grave. Hosanna to his name. Hey, hands in the air with a wave. Lifted to the one who can save, to the Son
yeah, everything he said was true, he never lied. Took the punishment for sin, died and rose again, now he's at the Father's side. Oh, everything he said, yeah, everything he said was true, he never lied. Took the punishment for sin, died and rose again, so we could be alive.
So everybody say hey, hands in the air with a wave. I lift it to the one who can save, to the Son who is done with the grave. Hosanna to his name. Hands in the air with a wave. Lift it to the one who can save, to the Son who is done with the grave. Hosanna to his name. Hosanna, 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 Hosanna. Everybody say hey, hands in the air with the waves. I lift it to the one who can save, to the Son who is done with the grave. Hosanna to his name. Hands in the air with the waves. I lift it to the one who can save, to the Son who is done with the grave. Hosanna to his name. Hosanna to his name. Hosanna to his name. Hosanna to his name. Hands in the air with the waves. Lift it to the one who can save, to the Son who is done with the grave. Hosanna to his name. Jesus, Hosanna, Savior.
And for our sin he bled and died. He let himself be crucified. Only Jesus. There's an empty grave where he once lay. Now we are free, our debt is paid. Who can wash away our sin and make us whole again? Only Jesus. Who has beaten back the grave and has the power to save. Only Jesus. Now he's the risen Lord of all, and he will answer when we call. And only Jesus. Sun, moon, and stars declare his fame. Hope can be found in no other name. Who can wash away our sin and make us whole again? Only Jesus. Who has beaten back the grave and has the power to save. Only Jesus. Only Jesus. We lift our hands up to the one who gave his life. We lift our hands up to the one who sacrificed. Who can wash away our sin and make us whole again? Only Jesus. Who has beaten back the grave and has the power to save. Only Jesus. Who can wash away our sin and make us whole again?
Everyone
All
in the
right,
news
everybody,
business
it's
knows you
time for
have to
some
train to become a
reporter
good
training.
reporter.
Let's see
So
if you guys
answer
can
these
answer
questions
all the
and test
questions.
your skills with some reporter training.
So question number 1, true or false? Is it okay to have doubt? It is okay to have doubts, but it is not okay to stay doubtful. Is it A, true, or B, false? If you guessed A, true, you're correct. Question number 2. If you hear something at church that you are not sure about, which of the following should you do? A, ask questions. B, look for answers in your Bible. C, pray and ask God to help you understand. Or D, all of the above. D, all of the above. Question number 3. In the Bible lesson, when Jesus appeared to the disciples in the locked room, one of the disciples wasn't with them. Who was it? A, Thaddeus, B, Timothy, C, Thomas, or D, John? It's C, Thomas. Number 4, what did Thomas want to do before he would believe Jesus was alive? Was it A, to be alone and think for a while? B, to touch Jesus' wounded hands and side? C, to see the empty tomb for himself? Or D, to talk to Jesus and ask him questions? The answer was B, to touch Jesus' wounds and his side. Number 5, during the news broadcast, why did Tim and Trudy doubt the things people told them? A, because they didn't want to be fooled. B, because they didn't want to listen. C, because they hadn't seen it for themselves. Or D, because the people were obviously lying. If you guessed C, you're correct. Question number 6. Fill in the blanks. Then Jesus told him, you blank because you have seen me. Blessed are those who believe without blank me. Is it A, believing and seeing, B, knowing and helping, C, doubt finding, or D, love and doubting? And the answer was A, believe and seeing. All right, everybody.
Great job. And remember,
job.
to be a good reporter, you need to keep on learning and keep on training.
So remember what we learned today. I will seek answers when I have doubts.